The email notification lit up my phone at 6:12 a.m., glowing soft and harmless on the nightstand like it had no idea it was about to ruin everything. Your DNA results are ready. For a moment, I thought it was mine. Then I remembered the wrapping paper, the laughter, the way my hands had shaken just slightly as I handed my daughter the birthday gift, and told myself I was being ridiculous. A DNA test was harmless. Everyone was doing it now. People liked knowing where they came from. Roots, percentages, stories. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the old house wake up around me, the heater clicking on, pipes knocking like they always did in the early hours. Down the hall, I heard her door creak. Footsteps, light and quick. Too early. My chest tightened. She was already awake. By the time I reached the kitchen, she was sitting at the table in her pajamas, dark hair pulled into a messy knot, laptop open in front of her. The morning light cut across her face in a way that made her look suddenly older. Less like the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. More like someone standing at the edge of a truth. "Mom," she said, without looking up. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "Did you know these things update overnight?" I set the coffee mug down too hard. It clinked against the counter, loud in the quiet room. "Update?" I asked. She nodded, eyes still on the screen. "DNA stuff. It says they refined the results." I swallowed. My mouth felt dry, like I'd been walking into a headwind for years and had only just realized I was exhausted. "That's nice," I managed. She hummed in response. The sound was distracted. Curious. The way she sounded when she was piecing something together, the way she had when she was 6, and trying to understand why the moon followed the car at night. I watched her fingers move across the trackpad, watched the little crease form between her brows. I'd known this day would come. Not this way, maybe. Not with an email and a birthday present and a cheerful website promising answers. But the truth has a way of surfacing when you least expect it, like bones rising through thin soil. She looked up at me then. "Can I ask you something?" she said. My heart stumbled. I leaned back against the counter, gripping the edge with my fingers. "Of course." She hesitated. That hesitation was new. She'd always come to me easily, without fear. Scraped knees, broken friendships, whispered confessions at midnight. I'd been her safe place for 16 years. "I thought Grandma said our family was mostly Irish," she said slowly. "But this says I'm not." I forced a small smile. "Those tests aren't always exact." She tilted her head, studying me. She had her father's eyes. I'd known that from the beginning. Knew it the first time I held her, wrapped in a hospital blanket that wasn't mine, with a name tag that didn't have my last name on it. "But it's not just that," she said. "It also says I have close matches. People I've never heard of." My ears rang. "Sometimes distant relatives pop up," I said. "Third cousins, things like that." "No," she said quietly. "These aren't distant." She turned the laptop toward me. I didn't look. I couldn't. Because I already knew what she was seeing. Names that weren't mine. Faces I'd never wanted her to find. A genetic trail that led away from me and toward a woman I'd promised myself I'd never have to explain. My daughter watched my face change. I saw it happen in the reflection of the microwave door, the color draining, the way my jaw tightened, as if I could physically hold the past in place. "Mom," she said again, softer now. "Is there something you're not telling me?" The question wasn't accusatory. It was frightened, and that was worse. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Words crowded my throat, all the years of rehearsed explanations tangling together. I'd practiced this moment in the dark, lying awake, imagining calm conversations and understanding tears. But nothing prepares you for the sound of your child asking for the truth. "I need you to give me some time," I said finally. "Just let me have today." She frowned. "Why?" "Because if I tell you now, I will shatter the only version of your life you've ever known. Because if I tell you now, you will never look at me the same way again. I'm not hiding anything from you," I said, hating myself even as the words left my mouth. "I just need to think." She searched my face, and I saw something shift behind her eyes. Doubt, taking its first careful step. "Okay," she said after a moment. "But can we talk tonight?" I nodded. "Tonight." She closed the laptop and stood, brushing past me to grab a granola bar. When she reached the doorway, she paused. "You know you're my mom," she said, casually, like it was a given. Like gravity. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. "I know," I said. She smiled and disappeared down the hall. I stood alone in the kitchen long after the house went quiet again, the smell of burnt coffee filling the air. 16 years ago, I'd signed papers in a windowless room with a social worker who kept calling me brave. 16 years ago, I'd promised a crying young woman I would love her child like my own. 16 years ago, I'd held a baby against my chest and felt my life rearrange itself completely. I told myself the truth could wait. That love was enough. Now the past was knocking, dressed up as a birthday gift, and my daughter was one click away from discovering that the woman she called mom wasn't the one who gave her life, only the one who chose her. And I didn't know if that would be enough anymore. She didn't wait until night. I was standing at the sink that afternoon, scrubbing a pan that was already clean, when I heard her footsteps slow behind me. Not the careless stomp of a teenager moving through her own house, but something measured, cautious. I kept my eyes on the window. The backyard looked the same as it always had. The old oak, the faded swing she'd outgrown but never let me take down, the fence that leaned just enough to remind me we'd meant to fix it for years. "Mom," she said. Just that. One word. But it carried weight now. I turned, drying my hands on a towel. She was leaning against the counter, phone in her hand, her thumb hovering over the screen like she was afraid of what it might show her next. "I didn't want to push," she said, "but I can't stop thinking about it." I nodded. "That's fair." She took a breath. I messaged one of the matches. The room felt suddenly too small. "Who?" I asked. "A woman," she said. "Her name is Elaine. It says she's a close relative." My heart thudded hard against my ribs. Elaine. The name settled into me like an old bruise, tender and familiar. I hadn't heard it spoken in years, but it had never really left. "What did she say?" I asked. "She hasn't replied yet," my daughter said. But she viewed my profile. I pictured it instantly. Elaine sitting somewhere else, staring at a face that looked too much like hers and not enough like mine. Doing the same math I'd done all those years ago. Realizing the past had found a way back in. "I should have told you sooner," I said quietly. My daughter stiffened. "Told me what?" I gestured to the chair at the table. "Sit down." She didn't argue. That scared me more than if she had. When she sat, she crossed her arms, a small defensive gesture she'd had since she was little. I sat across from her, the same table where we'd done homework, eaten birthday cake, planned vacations that never quite happened. "There are things about how you came into my life that I never explained," I said. Her jaw tightened. "So there is something?" "Yes." The word hung between us. She leaned forward. "Are you saying I'm adopted?" I closed my eyes for a second. Just a second. Long enough to gather myself. "Yes." She exhaled sharply, as if she'd been bracing for it. "Okay. That's okay. I mean, lots of people are adopted." Relief flickered through me. Brief. Dangerous. "But," she continued, "that doesn't explain the DNA." I nodded. "No, it doesn't." Her eyes searched mine. "You're saying you're not my biological mom?" It wasn't a question. I swallowed. "No, I'm not." The silence that followed wasn't loud. It was dense, like all the air had been pressed out of the room. She stared at the table, then at her hands. She laughed once, a short, disbelieving sound. "Wow. I never wanted to lie to you," I said quickly. "You did lie," she interrupted. Not angrily, just factually. "Every day." The words stung because they were true. "I waited because I thought it would protect you," I said. "I thought there would be a right time." She shook her head slowly. "You gave me a DNA test for my birthday." I flinched. "I know," I whispered. "I didn't think." "You didn't think it would lead here," she said. "But it did." She stood abruptly and began pacing the kitchen, running her hands through her hair. "So who is she?" I knew who she meant. "Her name is Elaine," I said. She stopped. "The same woman?" "Yes." Her laugh came again, this time sharper. "So she's my what?" "Birth mother." "Yes." "And you know her?" "I did," I said. "A long time ago." She turned to face me. Her eyes were bright now, not with tears yet, but with something close. Why didn't she keep me? The question sliced through me. "She was young," I said carefully. "Scared. Alone." "So you just took me?" she snapped. "No," I said firmly. "I didn't take you. She chose me." That stopped her. "She chose you?" my daughter repeated. "Yes," I said. "She wanted someone who could give you stability. Love. She wanted you safe." My daughter's voice dropped. Was I not safe with her? I shook my head. "You were loved. Very much. But love doesn't fix everything." She looked away, blinking rapidly now. Does she want me? I hesitated, and she saw it. You don't know, she said. I don't, I admitted. But I know she never forgot you. That was true. Elaine had written once a year, every year, letters I'd locked away in a box I told myself I was saving for the right moment. Letters full of restraint and aching hope. My daughter pressed her lips together. She messaged me. The words landed heavy. Just now, she said. While we were talking. She held up her phone, her hand shaking. I didn't ask to see it. I didn't need to. What did she say? I asked. My daughter's voice wavered. She said she didn't know if she had the right to respond, but that she's thought about me every day of my life. Tears spilled over then, hot and sudden. She wiped at them angrily. I don't know what to do, she said. I don't know who I'm supposed to be mad at. I stood and crossed the room, stopping just short of touching her. You can be mad at me, I said. I can take it. She looked up, eyes red. I don't want to be mad at you. The admission broke something open in both of us. I love you, she said, voice cracking. But I feel like my whole life just shifted. I nodded. It did. And I'm scared, she whispered. Because what if I find out I belong somewhere else? I reached for her then, unable to stop myself. I cupped her face in my hands, the way I had when she was small. You belong here, I said. Nothing changes that. She didn't pull away, but she didn't lean in either. Outside, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the yard. Somewhere in the house, her laptop chimed again. A new notification, another piece of the past knocking politely, waiting to be let in. And I realized the truth wasn't done with us yet. It had only just begun to speak. The reply came at 9:47 p.m. We were sitting on opposite ends of the couch, the space between us wider than the room itself. The TV was on but muted, a nature documentary playing to no one, snowy mountains, migrating animals, a world in motion while ours stood painfully still. My daughter's phone vibrated. Not loudly, just enough. She froze. I watched her thumb hover over the screen, the same way it had that morning. Like touching it would make something irreversible happen. In a way, it would. Is it her? I asked. She nodded once. I didn't move. I didn't tell her to wait. I didn't tell her to read it or not to. This was no longer a moment I had any right to control. She opened the message. Her eyes moved slowly as she read, line by line. I saw her swallow, saw her shoulders tense, then sag. She wants to meet me, my daughter said. The words were quiet, almost fragile. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to breathe. This weekend, she said. She says she doesn't want to rush me, but she's been waiting a long time. That was Elaine. Always careful, always afraid of taking too much space. And what do you want? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Her gaze stayed fixed on the phone, as if the answer might be written there too. I don't know, she said finally. Part of me wants to pretend none of this is real. And part of me feels like if I don't go, I'll regret it forever. I nodded. Both of those things can be true. She glanced at me, searching my face. Are you okay with it? The question hurt more than I expected. This isn't about me being okay, I said gently. This is about you. That's not what I asked, she replied. I hesitated, then chose honesty, even though it burned. No, I said. I'm not okay. I'm terrified. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go. Her eyes softened, just a little. Thank you for not lying. The night stretched on after that, heavy with unspoken thoughts. Eventually, she went to her room. I stayed on the couch, the glow from the TV washing over me, scenes changing without meaning. I didn't sleep. Saturday arrived with cruel normalcy. The sky was clear, the air mild. The world had the audacity to feel ordinary. She dressed carefully, too carefully, changed outfits twice, 3 times, settled on jeans and a sweater she'd stolen from my closet years ago and never given back. That hurt and helped. I'll text you, she said, slipping on her shoes. I nodded. I'll be here. She paused at the door. I'm not leaving, she added, as if she needed to say it aloud. I just need to see. I know, I said. She hugged me then. Not the quick, distracted hugs of a teenager, but a long one. Tight. Familiar. When the door closed behind her, the house felt hollow in a way it never had before. I wandered from room to room, touching things like they might disappear. The back of the couch, the photo frames on the wall, the height marks we'd penciled on the doorframe over the years. All proof of a life lived together. Real. Earned. Around noon, my phone buzzed. She's different than I imagined. I stared at the message, then typed back. Different how? Quieter, she replied. Nervous. She keeps apologizing for everything. I closed my eyes. Another message followed. She looks like me. It's weird. That one knocked the air out of me. Then nothing. Minutes stretched. Hours. I tried to busy myself. Laundry, dishes, anything. But my hands moved without purpose. Every sound made me jump. At 4:18 p.m., my phone rang. Mom, my daughter said. Just that. But her voice sounded steadier. How are you? I asked. I'm okay, she said. I think. There was background noise, clinking cups, low conversation. A cafe, maybe. She told me things, my daughter continued. About when I was born. About you. I sat down hard on the edge of the bed. What did she say? She said you were the bravest person she'd ever met, my daughter said. That you never once made her feel like she was giving me up, only giving me more. Tears slipped free, hot and sudden. She said, my daughter went on, voice thickening, that she hoped I would forgive her, but that if I didn't, she'd understand. I pressed my hand to my mouth. I don't hate her, my daughter said. And I don't hate you. Relief washed through me so sharply it hurt. But I'm angry, she added. At both of you. For different reasons. That's fair, I said softly. She asked if she could be part of my life, my daughter said. Not instead of you. Just somewhere. I waited. Let her finish. I told her I don't know yet, she said. I need time. Good, I said. You deserve that. There was a pause. Mom. Yes. Did you ever regret it? She asked. Raising me. Knowing I wasn't yours biologically. The question reached back 16 years and wrapped around my heart. Not once, I said without hesitation. Not for a single second. Her breath hitched. Okay. When she came home, the sun was already low, casting everything in gold. She looked tired. Older. But there was something else too. Clarity, maybe. Or the beginning of it. We sat at the table again. The same place where the truth had first cracked open. She's not trying to take me, my daughter said. I think I needed to see that. I'm glad, I replied. She's also broken, she added. In a way I wasn't expecting. I nodded. Life can do that. My daughter looked at me for a long moment. You could have told me years ago, she said. I know. But I think, she continued slowly, that if you had, I wouldn't have understood what it meant. I didn't speak. She reached across the table and took my hand. I'm still figuring things out, she said. But I don't feel like I lost a mom today. My chest ached. I feel like I found another truth, she finished. Outside, the evening settled in, quiet and unremarkable. No thunder. No dramatic signs. Just the steady passage of time. And for the first time since that email arrived, I believed we might survive what the truth had uncovered. The house learned a new rhythm after that. Not immediately. Change never arrives all at once. It comes in small adjustments. The way she paused before saying, Mom, not because the word had lost meaning, but because it had gained weight. The way she spent longer in her room at night, journaling, earbuds in, untangling thoughts she didn't yet have language for. Elaine didn't disappear. She also didn't intrude. That mattered. She sent messages sometimes, careful, respectful ones. A photo of a tree-lined street near her apartment. A book recommendation. A simple thinking of you today. My daughter showed them to me without being asked, as if transparency was something we were learning together now. We didn't rush anything. One evening, a few weeks later, I found my daughter sitting on the floor of the hallway, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the height marks on the doorframe. Pencil lines. Dates. A messy scrawl from when she'd insisted on writing her own name at 8 years old. I don't remember being small, she said. I sat beside her. Most of us don't. She traced one of the lines with her finger. I keep thinking about her. About what it must have been like to leave. I waited. Let her choose her next words. I don't know how she survived that, she said quietly. She didn't, I replied gently. Not the way she was before. But she survived enough to hope. My daughter nodded. I think that's what scares me. What? That I can understand her, she said. And that understanding doesn't erase the hurt. No, I said. It rarely does. She leaned her head against my shoulder, something she hadn't done in weeks. You stayed, she murmured. Yes. You chose me, she said. I wrapped an arm around her. Every day. The first time all three of us were in the same room happened by accident. Elaine had come by to drop off a box of old photographs, Things my daughter had asked for. Childhood fragments Elaine had carried alone for years. She hadn't planned to stay. I hadn't planned to be home early. We stood there in the doorway, awkward and quiet, two women who had loved the same child in different ways, at different costs. I can leave, Elaine said immediately. No, my daughter said. You don't have to. Elaine's eyes flicked to me, unsure. I nodded once. It's okay. We sat at opposite ends of the living room at first, like strangers waiting out a storm. The box sat unopened between us. Eventually, my daughter reached in and pulled out a photo. It was of her as a newborn. I felt my breath catch, not because I hadn't seen her that small, but because I hadn't seen her that small with someone else's hands holding her. Elaine watched my face carefully. That was the day before I signed the papers, she said. I almost didn't. My daughter looked between us. Why did you? Elaine swallowed. Because loving you meant wanting more for you than I could give at the time. Silence followed. Not sharp, not hostile, just real. I didn't lose you, Elaine added. I just trusted someone else to keep you safe. My daughter's eyes filled. She turned to me then, searching. I nodded. And I did. Tom did the rest. Not perfectly. Not without setbacks. There were days my daughter was distant. Days she asked questions that reopened old wounds. Days I lay awake wondering if love could stretch far enough to hold all of this. But love is not finite. It grows. Graduation came in the spring. I watched her walk across the stage, confident and bright, and felt the same ache of pride I'd felt the first time she'd taken a step without falling. Elaine sat 3 rows back. When my daughter's name was called, she stood and clapped. So did I. So did the woman beside her, and the man beside her, and everyone else who had watched this girl grow into herself. Later, my daughter found me near the refreshment table. You okay? She asked. I smiled. Always. She hesitated, then said, I want you both there. For things. For my life. My throat tightened. That's your choice. I know, she said. And I'm choosing it. That night, after the house had gone quiet again, she knocked on my door. Can I sit with you? She asked. We sat on the bed, knees touching like we used to when she was small. I used to be afraid, she said slowly, that finding the truth would make everything fall apart. And I asked. And it didn't, she said. It just made the picture bigger. She looked at me, really looked at me. You're my mom. Not because of DNA, but because you were there when I needed someone to stay. Tears blurred my vision. Thank you. She smiled softly. I think I'm lucky. For what? For being chosen, she said. Twice. Years later, when she told people her story, she never made it sound tragic. She spoke of complexity, of courage, of women who made impossible choices and lived with them honestly. And sometimes, when she hugged me goodbye, she'd whisper, You didn't just raise me. You saved me. But the truth was quieter than that. I didn't save her. I loved her. And in the end, that was enough.